Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I know that a lot of the stuff that we get back is kind of, a lot of parents then feel they can't allow their children. So it's a catch 22 because you're kind of going, I can't really allow my child to be going to all these parties because I can't provide the same. So people will start feeling that I'm just going to all these things and my child always goes, but I never do
Yeah.
anything for anyone else's child. But then at the same time, if you stop your child going, your child is then looking at you that you're this big mean person that
Exactly.
number one doesn't do
Exactly.
parties, doesn't do play days, but then doesn't allow
Yes.
them to go either.
Go either. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
I mean,
it's yeah, it's a very desperate situation. I mean, this is one of the reasons why, we set up Every Child is Your Child, so that we can try and assist the parents to make sure that the child has, everything they need to fit in
yeah.
and be like the rest of the children,
Mhm.
because that has a huge impact on their mental health when they feel like everyone else. Then they feel better about themselves as well. That has a knock-on effect on the parent, because
Yeah.
when the parent sees the child happy and fitting in, then obviously you feel so much better
Well,
as
it's
the parent as
one
well.
less layer to be carrying around, isn't it? I mean,
Yes, it
if
is.
you're dealing with so many different layers of trauma and you're trying to navigate that road, and then this is one less thing,
Yeah.
sitting on your head that, God, I can't provide for my child. I can't even
Yeah.
make them happy. I can't even give them a normal life. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
privileged, but just general, just a,
Yeah.
plain life. I can't do that.
And
Uh,
you can imagine, like, with the length of time as well, if you have to be in that kind of situation for 3, 5, 7 years, like,
crazy.
day in, day out, it's the very same routine. You see, that's the one killer about direct provision. Every single day over the years, everything is exactly the same. So
Mhm.
you are waking up at exactly the same time, you're going to the canteen at the same time, you're sitting at the very same place that
Mhm.
you've been sitting at for those whatever last few months or years. You're using the exact same route to go back to your room, the exact same route to go to lunch, to go to dinner. You
Mhm.
have a specific time of when you can go into town and a specific time of when you come back. So it's all so monotonous. It's exactly the same thing every single time.
Well, it'd be because I mean everybody who stays there for a lengthy period of time. I mean, it is an institution, and people will be institutionalized. But the saddest part to me about all that is the children in that situation who have no choice in the matter, who are being institutionalized, and then families, especially mums and stuff that are completely broken because they don't even have the opportunity or the dignity. All that is just stripped away. The honor and the joy of being a mum and being able to make food for your kids, or to be able to, like my kids would say to me, "Oh, mom, can you make this?" I love the way my mum makes it. We all talk about our mums cooking. I mean, we all do it. We all say,
Mhm.
my mum's the best cook. But it's extremely sad to know that there's children in direct provision who are maybe 6 or 7 years of age who have never tasted their mother's cooking, who don't
Yeah,
know what their mum's cooking tastes like, and who are looking to strangers in a canteen as their providers
yeah,
and not
definitely.
people who gave birth to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's really
that's
sad. And
really,
when
I mean,
when
it's
you
very damaging as well, I think, long
yeah,
term to the relationship between mother and child, because you're not
child, yeah.
given the chance to be a mother. You're not being given the chance to parent.
And I think, the worst part, in as much as, them being, going to school and interacting with others is actually the best part of their days often. But it's also really sad because when they come home, they share the experiences of what their peers are going through. And then
Hmm.
they start to question why they are not able to do the same.
Yes.
A child will come home and say, "Oh, my friend was talking about how they went to their nana, for the weekend, or they went to the park,
Hmm.
after school. Why can we not go to the park?" Something as simple as that. You can't just take a stroll down and walk and take your children to the park. It's
Yeah.
it's almost impossible in many of these centers because of where they are located.
Okay.
um, you can't do something as simple as make them, if a child comes home talking about, "Oh, my friend had an omelet," many of these kids won't even have an idea what an omelet is, because it's stuff that you cannot make. Um, but as you know yourself, we have family traditions, we have family you know, things that we want to pass on to our children. It's impossible to do that in those settings, not only with the cooking, but if you know, if like where I come from, gardening is one of the core skills, you know, that we're taught growing up, growing your own food, simple things like kale, you know, that can sustain one. You can't pass on,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. Um, in other cultures, dance, you know, is very important, you know, learning, you know, that the traditional dance, for example, there's no facility or space for you to be able to do
Yeah.
something as simple as that
Mhm.
in direct provision. So it's just a place where you are simply just existing, you
Yeah.
know. You cannot explore, you know, you cannot experiment. You just literally wait, sleep, eat, wake up, sleep, eat, wake up. That's the
And
life.
then children are also in that same setting.
They
And
are.
that's something I think that people need to take a moment and just imagine what that must be like. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Because I mean, as I've often said, you can never understand it. Like I can never understand it. I don't have to live it. But I can be empathetic because I can't imagine what it must be like. But I can look at it and say it's not right. I
yeah,
wouldn't like to see my children
that
have
kind
to
of.
go through that on a day to day for years on end with this kind of no end in sight, not knowing how long it's going to be for, and then
Yeah,
having to deal with. I mean, even for me, the likes of yourself coming out of direct provision, and okay, it's great. You have your status, you can now start doing things, but that institutionalized living doesn't just go away. I mean, and this is the other thing that people don't seem to realize is, okay, you're handed a piece of paper and you get out there and you fix, you know, it doesn't just happen overnight. You
yeah, true.
eventually you find a house, you know, you can suddenly start making a home, but
Yeah,
all of a sudden you're having to start relearning how to be a family again, how to cook
yeah,
again, how to be a mum again, how to be a
yeah.
parent, have that relationship where the children now are looking to you for food. They're
I'll
looking,
tell you
kids
a
have
funny,
to take that as well.
yeah, a funny story made, like when we moved out, you know, and we started staying here for almost a period of about 3 months, we were cooking out of a single pot, right? We would make whatever we're making, put it into a bowl, make another thing. And then after about 2 months, we started saying, what are we doing? We have
Mhm.
a four plate stove, we have got loads of pots and pans.
Yeah.
Um, what are we doing? You know, and it was hilarious. But
Mhm.
it's because for the last 6 years or so, we had, we had to use a rice cooker. You know, this is an open secret in direct provision that people cook out of, the rice cookers, and then you have to hide it, whether it's in the ceiling or under your bed or in the wardrobe or wherever. But as a parent, you have to do what you have to do to
Yeah.
try and make sure that your children are catered for. But because we got so used to that habit of cooking in the rice cooker, so you'd make your rice, put it into a bowl, make a gravy, put it in we had got into that habit of doing that, to the point that even after we'd moved out, it took us 3 months to realize that we were still doing the exact same thing, although we now had a cupboard full of pots and pans and a
Yeah.
4 plate stove. And I remember now one of the days when we were sitting here, and my son said to me, we're just casually sitting and just, chatting. And he says to me, do you remember when we were in Noklashin? Every time we were hungry and we wanted a snack, we would have to tiptoe in from the other room in case you were napping. So we would get to the fridge and, we could get a yogurt or a snack, and then tiptoe out again. These are the memories that these
These
children
children have,
are
yeah.
carrying from
Yeah.
their childhood. Can you imagine that?
Mhm.
I didn't even know how to respond to him. I was just stunned, and I was like, oh, geez, isn't it great that now you can just go to the kitchen and open the fridge whenever you want? You don't have to tiptoe around anyone because they might be taking a nap, or, they might be reading, whatever the case may be. But what struck me was that for my son, 6 years of his life, we came into the country when he was 4. And I kept thinking, 6 years of his life, those are the kind of memories that he's taking
Yeah.
away,
And
you know.
they're the fundamental kind of, if you think of your first memories, I know from myself anyway, my kind of first earliest memories are from that kind of age of 5, 6. Some people have earlier memories again, but your kind of really substantial memories of like birthday parties or big events or day-to-day stuff is kind of
Around
between
that
the
time.
ages of 6 to 10 years of age.
Mm.
So these kids, when they talk about their childhood, that's what they're going to talk about.
That's what they're going to talk about.
Somebody else fed me, my mum
They're
never.
going to they're going to talk about having to queue in the canteen, having to be told that only one cupcake was enough, having
Yeah.
to be told that you can't have a cupcake because you've already had jelly and ice cream, having the things that the foods that they're going to remember from their childhood is the rice and gravy, you
Mhm.
know, or the rice and the baked beans.
Sneaking around to make food. I mean,
Yeah,
that's so sad. I mean, especially that's something you kind of envisage in a very poor country. It's not something you envisage to be happening here in Ireland, that parents have to sneak to make food or they have to sneak to do stuff.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I think that that's just extremely unfair. But on top of that, then, I mean, I just a funny story. It's not really funny, but a story. I remember a story being told to me. I was in college at the time, and a story was made to me about how a teacher was asking children to draw pictures of what they do at home. The different area, they learn about the different rooms of a house. And the
yes,
direct vision kids were drawing pictures of a canteen because that's where you have
yeah.
food.
Mm,
If you
mm.
think of like an 8 or 9 year old child and that's their normal,
Yeah,
like they think that's where you eat food is in a
yeah,
canteen. There's no concept even of mom or dad in the kitchen
yeah,
making dinner and sitting down to a meal together with your family, having those family fights and discussions at a
yeah.
dinner table. That's not their normal. And the rest of the kids in their class are
I'm
drawing
doing something totally different. Yeah,
exactly. And they're going, hang on, do you guys not go to a canteen?
yeah,